So we're going to be picking up right where we left off in our last video. So you guys saw that I cut out the name in white cardstock along with the yellow. So what I did is I just downloaded a different font from dafont.com. I did the same steps that I did in my last video. I turned the background green because the 5 is actually going to be on pattern paper that looks really, really nice, and you guys will see at the end of the video. What I'm going to be doing right now is I am going to upload another background to the name. This one I am going to go ahead and turn red, and it's going to go all the way to the back. And I'm just going to group this all together because we don't want it to keep moving. So what I'm going to do when I cut this out, I am going to have to cut out the red. And the reason that I added the other background is just because I want to give it volume. I want the cake topper to just have pieces to it, have layers to it, and just, you know, stand out overall. Sizing right now, I'm not really focused on it. I want it to be big enough for us to just be able to see it all. So I'm actually going to move this just back. So the one thing that we obviously are not going to leave out of this cake topper is our papel picado. So here we have lots and lots of different options. If you wanted to do a banner, you can even use the letters that you have on here on this paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and just look for something that I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and do 3 on each side. And honestly, I even like the colors that they're in. So these are the only ones that I really want to focus on the sizing right now because I want to keep them small enough so that they can kind of go like this on our cake topper. And let me move this one back, and I can kind of use this one as a guide. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the 3 and I'm going to duplicate them and put them on the other side. The look that I'm going for is, I'm going to use this as an example for you guys. So this is kind of the look that I'm going for. So that way it gives you guys a better idea of it. So this is how I am going to be positioning my confetti paper back here. When you attach your sticks here to go into the cake, it's going to look perfect. I want to add details. I feel like when you're doing the Fiesta theme, what you want is a lot of detail, a lot of colors. You want things to stand out. So what I'm going to do on top of this 5 is I'm just going to go ahead and add a sombrero. So maybe let's see if we can take the hat off of this cactus guy. Yep. All right, let's see how this looks. If we duplicate this part and this part, I'm going to slice it. And then from there, I'm just going to grab this little circle right here. Turn it into an oval. And then I'm just going to slice this again. I'm going to set that there, and I'm just going to turn this blue. I'm actually going to do this color blue so that way it kind of matches a little bit. And then with this right here, I am going to take a square and just slice that part right there. So maybe we can put this red right here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it yellow. And I'm just doing that so that way it can just give our little hat just some more detail on there. And I'm going to use this little pom-pom. I'm going to go ahead and turn them red. So I'm just using this as a placement so you guys can just get a better idea of where the sticks are going to go on here. I just want you guys to be able to see it fully on the screen. But I will be showing you guys how I cut everything out exactly and how I'm going to be putting it together. So let's go ahead and just get rid of these here because I don't want to cut those out. So before I get to making it, I want to make sure that my sizing is correct. And I'm just going to straighten them out because I want to see what the sizing is. This yellow one looks like it is 1.684 by 1.406. And I'm just going to make this a tiny bit just to get it at least 1.5. I'm going to delete the other yellow one because I want it to be exactly the same. For this blue one, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be using the deep cut blade for these. The tricky part about sizing this is it's totally going to depend on how big your cake is and how much of the space you want it to take up. And then it's pretty much going to be the same length on both sides. So you can see the width is 4.895 by 5.132. Now that we have this size to what we want, so after you select make it, you are going to see all of our mats that are going to be cut out. And what the Cricut does is just separates everything by color. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go to the very top. You're going to select continue. It's going to connect to our machine. It tells you the materials that you have selected. So you always want to make sure that you have it in the correct one, whether it's cardstock, vinyl, whatever you guys are cutting. Just make sure it's on the correct one. I am going to be loading the deep cut blade, like I said, just so I can get the little details on here. So I do want to point out for these smaller little details, when I go to continue, I'm going to be switching my settings to custom. So when you hit custom, it's going to give you these options right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to browse all materials. And I'm going to select this one right here, cardstock for intricate cuts. And that should help us with the little details so that way we're not pulling our hair out. And I'm only going to be using those settings when I'm cutting these out just because, like I said, it's just those little intricate cuts. For everything else, I'm just going to use the cardstock setting. I've never had any issues with it. So let's just go ahead and cut this out. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my deep cut blade and I'm going to go ahead and switch it out. What you see here is all of the cardstock that I'm going to be using. This paper is the one that I was talking about that I'm going to do the number 5 on. And this it's from the Paper Studio and I just got this at Hobby Lobby. And I am going to be recutting the name just because I want it to fit perfectly. And I think it might actually be a little bit bigger when I first cut it out. When I have something like this, I just make sure that I edit my mat. Move it to the other side so that way it's cutting where it's supposed to. And for this cardstock, this is the one that I got from Joann. It is a little bit on the thicker side. So when I do that, I just do the poster board setting. pretty much have everything that we are going to be using. I ended up cutting out another number 5. I felt like the green just didn't make the paper on top stand out as much. So I'm going to put this over the white, and then I'm going to put the green in the back. And we have everything that we need for the hat. We have our papel picado here. I am going to be using foam tape for some of the things. I do have my hot glue gun as well. This is what I'm going to be using to tie the paper to the number. So let's just go ahead and put it together. So this right here is what our cake topper will end up looking like. You can tell that as the more you put the sticks apart, you can just put it onto the cake going inwards. Otherwise, you're just gonna have it hanging like this. We ended up obviously just using 4 of the papel picado that we cut out just because it was just too long if I had used all of it. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think down below, and don't forget to subscribe.